Now, this will be a very brief tutorial, just showcasing how to render out a depth map from Blender so as to use it with machine learning. All right, let's maximize the perspective here in Rhino. And then I'm going to briefly construct a box. And it can be this size, it's okay. And let's make sure here that we don't need to have it shaded, of course, but let's make sure that it looks as we want. And then having this positioned very close to the origin, very good. We can export this. This is where you would start with your existing or pre-existing geometry, of course. We export this as an STL. I'll try to keep things tidy here. This is just test or tutorial. And this is for depth map. All right, it should be an STL. We got STL here. Very good. Save. And we can do simple controls. And 100th of a millimeter is fine for this. When we press OK, we will always get a preview of the binary file size. This should not be too large. Okay. Now this is approximately 0, but it of course has a size. Okay. Now that is saved there, very good. Then we open Blender. And then we can actually, in the default scene, we can delete the cube and we can delete the light. But we can actually keep the camera as of now. Let's see, let's import this, the STL. And let's see here where we add it in 3D and tutorials. Very good. Just standard settings here. It's very large. All right, let's see here. If we press, I'm just going to make sure to show the keys that I'm pressing here. All right, if we press the numpad comma key in a Swedish keyboard, we can center it on the object here. And we see that our active camera, the pre-existing one here, is very small as in relation to the geometry here. But we can actually do like this, that in the viewport, we can orbit around here and select a suitable one, a suitable view, like this. And then I think it's Control and Alt and 0 on the numpad key, on the numpad keypad. Yes, this changed the location and rotation of the camera to where you were positioned in the viewport. And now you see that the clipping distances are wrong, so we just enter the camera. And then we'll go to the camera icon here, and here we see that the clip start and end are way too small for this. So we'll allow perhaps 256 meters in this case. And the clipping start can then be adjusted to perhaps 5 meters. All right, the first thing that we are going to need to make sure of here, before actually like framing the object, is to go into the camera or the render properties is actually the wrong one. Let's see, is it the output properties? Yes. And then let's change the resolution to 512 times 512. This is the only format that is applicable to the workflow. All right, and then we'll make sure that in the view layer properties that we enable the mist data pass. Very good. And then in world properties, we expand mist pass, and then we will adjust these, but as of now we don't see it, so we should first make sure to go to the rendered viewport shading mode, and then change the render pass to mist. All right, now you see that everything is very white here, but if we start to adjust this, yes, of course it's this one, it's readjusting. When we readjust this, you see that this turns into a grayscale. And we need a plane. We'll need the whole of the image to be covered by objects, so to say. Right now there's a grid and there's a void here, but we'll need to create a plane here. So we can do this from this view if we hold middle mouse button and just reorbit, and we see that we are still here. But we should be, or we can, in any view, we can create a plane, hold Shift and A, and then Mesh and Plane. Now it is created, it's very small, but now you can press 0 on the numpad keypad to go to the active camera here, and then we can scale it up with S. You see all of the keystrokes down here to the left. And then you just drag it so as to adjust the size of it. It might not be totally necessary for it to cover the whole screen, but we can still change the camera. Let's see, if we select the camera and then change the camera settings, and then we do end 1024 meters, like that. The clip start can still be 5, but we can change to 24 perhaps. Alright, and then we'll go back to adjusting the size of the plane, and now we see how it expands there, and it should expand. Yeah, but I'm fine with that. Alright, and then we should go to the world settings here, and see if we adjust the depth here. Yeah, there we see where the gradient starts to become whiter and whiter. But the most important thing is that we should have maximum resolution in terms of the levels between black and white with regards to our object of interest. So I think that this is okay, and this would be okay as well. You see how the gradient should be assigning different values to as much of the object as possible, so as to optimize the range of color of grayscale values. All right, I'm actually quite satisfied with this. Without progressing, we should just show how you can reassign the camera here. All right, so now we have the what is it called now? The 3D cursor. We have it here in the XYZ origin here. We can hold shift and right click to readjust it, and by pressing the period key we can choose where we pivot, and we pivot from the 3D cursor or around the 3D cursor. And now with the camera selected, as you see it is highlighted, we can do rotate and rotate around the Z axis, and now we can rotate it like this, as you see. And since we selected a 3D cursor target on the front of the object, it's a little shallow, the orbiting point here, but it's okay. And we can also, by pressing G for grab and move, and then pressing Z once for world space and twice for local space. Now we can also, we can hold shift, and then it's a less jittery movement here. All right, I think that we should perhaps rotate it around the Z a little like that. We can grab and move it or dolly it here like that, and then rotate it around the local X axis like this. Yeah, it's okay. Let's see if we should move it out a little like that. And also wanting to show this, if you have the camera selected and go here to camera, you can change, of course, the focal length. The default 50mm is fairly standard. Perhaps this is more pedagogical if I slide this. If you increase this, it gets more and more telephoto. If I decrease this, it gets more and more wide angle. So depending on how you want it to look. Actually, we can do more telephoto, more like isometric-esque. So perhaps like 320mm. And then you see now it's very like zoomed in, but then we can do G for grab and move, and Z to do local, and then we can just drag out until, yeah, now we are very far from the object, so now the mist pass settings are incorrect. So let's make sure to go back to the world properties, and then I guess increase the depth. No, decrease the depth. No, sorry, yeah, increase it more. Yeah, now we're talking. All right, as you see here. And then we can also increase the start of it, so it gets the grayscale levels are best distributed. See here, it can be more white there and more gray there. All right, I think that we should grab and move in Z local space here a little less, and then adjust these values. Like that. All right. Yeah, that actually looks quite great. And we have already set the output resolution to 512 × 512. Very good. All right, so let's continue from this point. Sorry for horsing around. The thing that we want to do before actually setting the final mist pass values is to go to render properties, go to color management, and change the view transform to raw. This is what we want. And now with this active, then we can properly change Let's see here now in the world and mist path here. Now these will be correct here. So let's see here. Then we'll do this again. Like that. Make sure that furthest away is as white as possible without being overexposed, like that. And closest to us is closest to black without being too black. All right, perhaps like this. Okay, now this will correspond with what we actually will get. All right, future me correcting my past self. Fall off should be set to linear and not quadratic. Good. And then when we are satisfied, we go render and render image. And the mist pass is here, and this we just save. All right, and as you see, I did several attempts here, try to rectify this. Future me again, make sure to set the color depth to 16 bits. All right, RGB and the color manager can follow scene because we have set it up correctly there. Save as image. And now when we go here, we see that this is much better than my previous steps. Yes. All right, this image is very good. You see the gradient errors here, but those are no problem for us. All right, we have it there, and then we are done. This is the image that you would upload then in the formulaire, in the questionnaire. Very good. All right, thank you.